It's a brand new day. Hey, hey, hey. It's a brand new day. Halfway twisted, you've been out of shape, and you feel like you've missed it. You dropped out the race, and as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way.
We've come along to the shopping centre called La Colonia. How would you say that in English accent? Colonia. La Colonia. La Colonia. And we've come to the Bodyworks Clinic, which is actually right next door to TRE, Talk Radio Europe. So a very nice spot you've got yourself, Estelle.
Thank you.
Estelle is a physiotherapist plus. Here at the Bodyworks Clinic, it's not just about physiotherapy, which as we understand is like exercise, rehabilitation. But here at the Bodyworks Clinic, you cover everything, even these fabulous shoes. Estelle, explain a little bit, please, about why you've specialised how you have.
Gosh. Well, I guess it really goes back to training. I was trained in the Royal Air Force, and we were well trained. And the expectation was that we assessed everybody, because in those days we didn't have all these magic scans and various investigation techniques that seem to be available now, which are actually not as helpful as everybody thinks they are. So we had to really understand what was going on and what the problem was, and then we had to work out how to sort it out. We were both very expensive pieces of equipment, if you like, because the Air Force had trained me, and I remember treating a pilot who had to, what they call bang out. They'd had to do the ejection seat thing and landed in a North Sea, so he wasn't in too great shape. But I couldn't say to him, do you know what, I don't know what to do with you. I had to find a way to fix him, and he had to do whatever it took to get back to work, because those were our jobs. It was my duty to make him better, and it was his duty to try as hard as he could to get better. So that's the way I've always looked at medicine, or at physiotherapy. So it's much more about doing something for you and you doing something for you, and us finding a way of how to get you out of trouble, than me just doing you. Do you know what I mean? Anybody can lie down and have a little rub, and it's not an unpleasant thing at all.
But there's
it's
more to
much
physiotherapy
more.
than a
When you get
massage.
up and go out the door, do you walk out with the same problem you walked in with? I've just made it a little bit calmer. That's not good enough.
It's finding the cause,
It's
the
finding
root of the
why,
problem.
so that we can sort that out. So then you're not having to keep my number in your phone or somebody else's number in your phone and go, oh, my back's seized. Because the back is telling you something, is please help fix something else, because this is making me unhappy. So you have to find out what's making people unhappy. And that's a totally different approach, perhaps from just
Treating the symptoms.
treating the symptoms. Yeah.
Well, here you've got quite a team together, but you've done it very slowly. You started off with your clinic on towards Estepona, very successful. So congratulations now on bringing it to the people. This is a fabulous area, right next to the radio station. You've got all the shopping, Passion Cafe.
There's
so
a coffee across the road.
Exactly, you've got everything going for you here.
Yeah.
And obviously it's easy for everyone to get to you, but you've got a great team together.
Have.
Apart from Emmy, your daughter, that is wonderful, that works with you.
Yes.
You also have new machines that you've brought in, because obviously when you bring in a newfangled machine, for me that means there must be something special to it, because I know that you very much depend on actually looking at the body, the root, the source of the problem.
Well, the new machines are an adjunct to that, is that once we know what's going on, how can we help you repair it? And that's where the magnetic resonance therapy machines come in. And we've just taken on board the newest models. So that's very exciting. So I've had this equipment for 10 years.
And how would you use that? I mean, is it a diagnostic machine?
No. It's the same technology as the diagnostic machine, as the magnetic resonance imaging, because it's looking at the movement of cells and how well those cells move. And if they move too slowly, we know they're poorly. If they move too fast, we know they're poorly, but for a different reason. And so luckily, this German scientist thought, well, there's got to be something in this. And when MRI scans first started to be, and it's quite a long time ago now, I remember one person coming back and saying, my shoulder feels better since my MRI scan. Can that be? Well, of course, we now know, of course, it can be, because you've created activity and stimulated the tissues, and they've done a response. So that's what this German scientist looked at, and that's what he's now created is a business making machines that we use as a treatment. We're not getting you pictures, but it's exactly the same technology. It's totally safe, and it creates a change in the rhythm of the cell. We talk about the circadian rhythm. Do you know what your circadian rhythm is?
Well, I know what actually, no, the circadian, when you're reading, means you go forward and go back, so but what is it?
No, your circadian rhythm is your body clock.
Oh, okay, right.
So if you suddenly flew off to America now, it would be lunchtime when it's breakfast time or dinner time or sleep time, or your clock's out, and everybody knows that feeling, but every cell has a circadian rhythm. And if the cell is injured, then you've bust the circadian rhythm, and it doesn't know how to repair.
And is this like the MRI, when you get the treatment, it knows how to do it itself? Does the body automatically, all you do, is it controlled?
Well, I mean, obviously we need to know what cells are damaged and what's going on, so that's a very clear and thorough investigation. But the machine isn't cell specific, but it is cell specific. There are different wavelengths that create different kinds of activities. And so that activity stimulates the restoration, if you like, of the circadian rhythm. So once you give the cell back its rhythm, its modus operandi, it goes, oh, right, well, we can get on with the job of repairing then. Which is why, and this really hit home because I've had the equipment for 10 years and I've talked about energy, because we can help to restore tissues that don't have a blood supply. Cartilage doesn't have a blood supply. Ligaments don't have a blood supply. Tendons don't have a blood supply. Nerves don't have a blood supply. So all of those tissues we can help to repair.
Whereas before there was nothing to...
Well, because everything else was based on blood, increasing the circulation to the tissues or that sort of thing, so muscles and movement and stuff to increase the energy, but nothing repairs those things that don't have a blood supply. And that's been the very greatest difficulty. And that's what this does. It helps to restore the circadian rhythm of these tissues, like cartilage and tendon and ligaments and nerves. So we can help with neuralgias, we can help with migraines. And in fact, there's been a lot of research done on using MRI for migraines. And if you feel that aura starting and you're anywhere near, come. Because if you do an hour in the early stages, it stops the onset of a migraine. And once you can begin to understand that we can stop it, it gives you confidence to perhaps think about some of the other things that go with your migraine, your posture, the way you walk, how you stand, some of the worries that you've stored because you're worried if you have a migraine and you're not going to make your job, or driving your car, or picking your child up from school, or any of those things that people, have crises about. And our brains, if I say to people, if I cut your head off, you'd feel totally fine, because it's the brain that controls it. And we get into patterns, and we get into bad habits, and we get into bad ways of thinking as well. When people say, oh, my back's gone. Where did it go? It hasn't
so it's important to
it's
always maintain a positive attitude as well as...
But you have to understand that to be able to think constructively about your problem. If you just feel overburdened by it, then we have to find a way out of that. But if we can support you out of pain,
all energy, use energy to
but if we can support you out of pain and help to restore tissue health, but that's the collaboration between other people that we work with in the clinic, like Rebecca, that does the acupuncture.
I can't wait to meet her. I've heard about acupuncture for years, but now we're going to meet Rebecca, and she's going to tell us a little bit about it. Also comes and works from here at the Bodyworks Clinic. It's lovely to see you, Estelle. Fascinating voice to listen to. You go on forever, but we will carry on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the new place. It's lovely.
Yes, it's lovely. Thank you.
Hey, hey.
Free taxi 4 times a month and 25% discount on your car insurance if you're the Zero Hero.
Yeah, I'm here in Marbella, but it says here I'm in La Canada.
If you haven't mastered the lingo, don't worry. Linear Director has a free GPS geolocator service that will come and find you.
Hey, hey.
I met Rebecca this morning, very briefly, before our chat now. Absolutely a pleasure to meet you and to ask you questions about acupuncture, which is something I think we've all heard about. Some of you may have actually experienced it, but for me it's just something that sounds very mystical, not scary, but again, I just don't know enough about it, I suppose. So,
Okay.
Eka, exciting. Can you just tell us the basics?
Okay, yeah, so acupuncture is a very old system of medicine, so it's been around for a couple of thousand years, so which is where the mysticism comes from a little bit. But now there's a lot of research out there now that supports acupuncture, and it's been proven to help in a lot of different conditions, anything ranging from infertility issues. It can help with pregnancy, headaches, pain, knee and back pain. It's very beneficial for, and then also I also do facial rejuvenation as well, so there's a bit of beauty in there as
So
well.
don't tell me you're 97 and look at those.
Exactly.
This stuff works. This stuff works.
Not quite yet.
But it's not invasive as such, although it is needles. What do you do? What does it involve?
Well, it does involve using needles. I think that's one of people's biggest fears with acupuncture. Is,
Are they like long needle? What kind of needle?
well, no. So we have. So we've got here. I don't know if you're able to see, but we have a whole range of needles. You can have a go and hold them yourself. Look. And if you just feel them and feel like the end of this, right, touch them, you can see how fine they are.
Like a thin piece of wire.
Yeah, and because they're going into acupuncture points, you'll get a very small sensation, but it's in no way painful. And actually, once it's inserted, people do report feeling extremely relaxed afterwards and during the process.
So what is the idea of putting something into a acupuncture
into the
point?
body? Yeah, so the idea is that we have a pathway of energy running all through the body, and by accessing at certain points in the body, we can then balance and bring into harmony again the energy where it may have got stagnated or stuck due to a whole lot of things in life, whether it be a physical trauma or an emotional trauma. So this just helps for the body to get back its flow.
Would that be why it was funny? Because when I had my ears pierced as a girl, my dad didn't want me to do it, but when I did, I find that if I wear the earring on my right ear, I feel like my body stops. Could it be that it was just the hole in the wrong place or something? Because it really does. It's like I feel like I can't wear earrings.
Oh,
like
really? But I'm not really sure. All I can say, though, is that the whole body is mapped out on the ear. So there's a lot of acupuncture points in the ear. And then this area here is sort of like the head area on the ear where, you had your ear piercings. I mean, I'm not
so there
sure.
is something we
but
do
there is
have,
some
even
in
ears
there.
have...
Oh, lots. I mean, and there is a very common detox program for the ears where you can, if you want to give up smoking or alcohol, or perhaps looking at some of the food intake you're taking, anything that's an addiction, you can use via the acupuncture points in the ear. So I would needle the detox points, maybe a couple of points on the body as well. And then there are some specially designed needles that can be left on that you can then, when you go home, you can press and help to trigger. And this can help.
So people who are just willy-nilly putting all these earrings all through their ears, maybe doing themselves major harm. I mean, like,
well, no, maybe it's a good thing.
Or it's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, but it shows you how we do things to ourselves without really having all the facts to know what that can actually mean. So you come to do your here at the Bodyworks
I
Clinic.
do. I've joined Bodyworks. Yeah. So
Congratulations!
I'm glad to thank you
on
very
that.
much.
So,
Yes.
for example, when you were doing all the different things, I was thinking like, oh, that facial one, especially this morning. I slept very little. Not camera day today, but anything. Got my radio face on in full swing. So, what would the idea be? Do people go? Would you also stick needles in people's faces?
Absolutely, quite a lot. There's quite a lot of points in the face that can help for a whole range of things, from sinus problems, headaches, acne, anything like this. So it can help from that point of view, but it can also help to rejuvenate the skin, because we are breaking down, creating almost like little traumas on the skin, which then the blood and the oxygen come to refresh and plumpen up the skin. They call it a little bit like a healthy Botox. So that way then you're plumping it up, the skin looks a lot more refreshed, brighter.
There you go. So Barbara, she's 97. She looks fantastic.
I am nearly 50 though, so
you do. You look amazing, and it's lovely to know that this combination of hashtag Better Together is right here in San Pedro. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
I will come and try you out.
Yeah, well, you need to come and try
Not
the
a
facial
threat.
acupuncture. Then you can
Exactly.
say.
Now you see me. Now you don't.
That's it. Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'm pleased to introduce you now to Peter. And I think this is something that's going to be very interesting for a lot of you, if not personally, for your friends and family. It would seem that some 20 years can go by with losing our hearing before we either realise it or recognise it, by which time a lot of our brain neurons have kind of faded away, and it could be one of the main leading causes of dementia. So this gentleman here actually is one of the top specialists in hearing detection.
Yes.
And you've got the Nova Mas, an amazing setup inside that is also hospital quality for detection. And the hearing aids that Peter works with, you refer to as the contact lenses for your ears because they are that discreet. So obviously this is a big deal for many people, Peter.
This is a very big deal for many people because, as you said, people tend to put off looking at their hearing. They don't put off looking at their eyes. Because hearing aids have a bad history. They're large, they're noisy, they're normally in the drawer, grandma, granddad just couldn't get on with them. Now, of course, with computerization and with, as you say, with the setup that we've got here, we can be very, very accurate in detecting your hearing problem and also with fixing that particular hearing problem. And of course, we can fix it in a way that's incredibly discreet that no one would know that you're wearing hearing aids. Just as you don't know that I'm wearing 2 hearing aids right now.
Really?
Yes.
There you go. The proof of the pudding. So when did you realise that you needed assistance to hear?
About 40 years ago, when I was in my 20s. You have to understand that both my parents were born deaf.
Really?
Yes. So all my siblings and myself, we all wear hearing aids and have done over a long period. Which is why I can perform very well in very difficult listening situations because I did something about it straight away while my brain was young. Now, obviously, not everyone starts to lose their hearing in their 20s.
Or that they're aware that that's a possibility is your case because you know that this is something that's going on.
Yes. So many people have types of hearing losses that they simply think, well, I can hear the traffic outside, but the people close to me are just mumbling. Yeah. And it's often the partner or the family of friends of that person who points out to them, look, things are not going quite right, the television's very loud, or you're switching off when we go out for a meal, you don't involve yourself in the conversation. And all we need to do, all we do here is encourage you, come to the clinic here, have your hearing tested, see if there is a problem. It's not going to cost you anything. Right? And
so you don't charge for the consultation?
No, because it's very difficult to get someone to take that first step and get a hearing test, and if they can think of an excuse not to go, they will. So we make that first consultation, which can last an hour and a half, in which we do the full consultation. I make sure that your medical history as far as your hearing is concerned is okay, and we go through with the test, and we, if necessary, we'll go through with the demonstration as well. And if a person wants to say, well, could I try them just to see how I get on? By all means, take a pair away for 2 weeks and go out now. Enjoy yourself.
Amazing. No reason not to come and do a test on your hearing. In fact, I'd like to do one myself, although I can hear very well, I'm pleased to say, I think. But there again, we don't really know, do we, until we do the test. Yeah. If you, your friends, your family, anyone you think could need possibly assistance, well, why not come along to the Bodyworks Clinic, meet Peter and the team, and see for yourself, hear for yourself. Hear for yourself. Peter, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Marbella Now. Of course, you can watch recordings of the show from our website, MarbellaNowTV.com. Also, remember to come here to the harbour, not just to the Marbella harbour, but the restaurant, the harbour, because something very nice and very new, and it's certainly worth coming down for. We'll be back tomorrow with another programme, and also with me, Marbella, our radio show in English, also on 107.6 FM. We hope you join us. Take care of yourselves, be nice to each other, and we'll be back tomorrow. Hasta luego.
And it's time